The eBird app is an incredibly effective way to enhance your personal birding, as well as support local, national, and global bird science and conservation efforts. By submitting your bird observations through the app, you get your very own personal place to store and share your sightings, as well as getting to spend more time outside enjoying the birds. So for those of you who've never used the app before, or for those who want a little bit more information, let's break down submitting a checklist step by step. So first things first, if you haven't registered with eBird, I'd highly recommend checking out the registering video in our channel. Once you've got an account, just download the eBird app from the App Store and then open it up. Now before we click that green start button, let's click on the cog in the bottom right hand corner, which are your settings. Make sure that you're signed in with your account. And for New Zealand, make sure that the portal selected is New Zealand eBird, and if you scroll down, make sure that your common name language is also English New Zealand. That'll save a whole heap of confusion. Okay, so you're standing in the middle of the forest, you're watching some birds, you've got some submissions. Let's click that green start button for a new checklist. So similar to submitting your observations online, you have the first question here, which is selecting your location. You've got 7 options to choose from here, so we're going to break each one of them down. If you want any more information, you can click on the eye next to them, but I'm just going to quickly zip through each one of them. So the first one is choose a recent location. eBird will load up to 50 previous locations that you've used before and that you've submitted observations through. And so if you're in one of those locations, just select that one. It'll download the information for that area, and then you're through to the next question, which we'll go on to in a little bit. So let's go back. The next option is choose a location from map. So make sure that location services are turned on your phone. That should be in the privacy section. eBird will then determine your position, and you'll be able to select a location from there. So for this instance, say we're on Tiri Tiri, it'll determine your position there and create a yellow bubble, which is your selected location. Now say you wanted to change the name of that, just tap in the bar, delete or add text as you wish. Once you're done with that, click on the next button and it takes you through to the next question again. Okay, so let's go back. Your third option here is create an offline checklist. This is so helpful when you don't have mobile phone coverage, you don't have Wi-Fi, you're out in the middle of the sticks essentially, but you still have observations that you'd like to enter. This option is great because it uses previous information that you've entered, and it also uses the GPS in your phone. So if you click on that, it asks what bird list would you like to use? From personal experience, always use recent checklist. If you click on full taxonomy, as it says there, it will load the over 10,000 species on the planet, which will take ages. You'll be pulling your hair out. So just click on recent taxonomy. The next thing that will come up is it will ask you to hit OK when the GPS accuracy reaches 10 meters or less. You may have to wait a long time for this, you may not. Once it's at 10 or below, click OK. Then it will go back to your recent personal locations, click on one of those, and it will draw all of the information from that area, download that information, and then you can use that to enter your observations. What this then does is create a temporary checklist offline. Once you're back in service, you then load up the checklist again, select the location, and away you go. Okay, beautiful, we're over halfway here. So the next option is to create a new personal location. Again, using your location data, eBird zooms in and creates a point wherever you are. So for this instance, we're up in Thames, and it will create a yellow bubble where you are. If you wanted to change where you are, say you're further up on the beach and you want to be a bit more accurate, all you need to do is just hold your finger on the location that you are, and it will reposition that bubble. Again, once you're happy with that, it'll download the checklist, and then you're on to the next question. Hopefully this is showing you how easy this is. Okay, let's go back. So the next set of options are selecting a public hotspot. If you've watched the Submit a Checklist Online video, you will have heard me mention this before. This is essentially areas in and around where you are that are known to be incredibly biodiverse, contain lots of species, and lots of birders go there. So it's marked as a hotspot, which is a red bubble on your map. So if you click on choose a nearby hotspot, again using the location services in your phone, it acquires your location, say you're in Queenstown, brings up the map, and all of those red bubbles are known hotspots in the area. You're at the Ben Lomond Scenic Reserve, you select that one, it downloads the information, and away you go to the second question on date and time. Easy. Let's go back. Say you're in a city and you want to search hotspots in that area. Click on that one, put in the city, so let's go for Nelson. You may have to type New Zealand into this. Boom, and then it retrieves the hotspots, and you get a list of all the hotspots in that area. Now you can click on map in the top right hand corner, and instead of a list, you get a better visual with the satellite imagery of all of the hotspots in the area, which are all those red balloons. Once you know where you are, so say you're on Boulder Bank, click on that one, select it, and away you go. So those are hotspots. Again, really simple, really intuitive and very easy to use. The last one is choose a nearby personal location. So all this one does is similar to the first ones, is it takes you to the map page and you can select the previous locations which come up as blue balloons. Okay, so hopefully you followed through with all of that. Once you've selected your location, you'll then be on to the date and time. Now you can either click reset to now, which uses your phone's date and time, or if it's for previous observations, say yesterday, you can click on the date, use the scroll wheels to select the appropriate date. Same for the time, you can use the plus or minus buttons here to scroll through the minutes quicker. If you're doing your observations in real time, the app is fantastic in that you can record your track in real time. So it uses your location and will map out where you've walked or where you have stood and observed from. You can toggle this on and off with this button. Once you're happy and you've put all of that information in, click Start New Checklist. And then it's just the same as entering it online. You go through and select the species that you are seeing in real time, or you enter the data that you've written down. eBird's sorts the species in a smart order, which basically lists likely species based on previous checklists around that area. If you wanted to change the order, you can click on the settings button here, and you can choose to either have it as a smart sort, or you can click taxonomic sort, which just does it by family. You can also choose to show rarities, which come up with an orange box with an R in it. If you would like to add comments to your checklist, just click on the comments button in the bottom left hand corner, and you can add anything in here that you need to, such as the weather. So I can write in here, it's windy, but there's clear skies. Now the tick is just showing how many species have been observed. If you press on that button, it just comes up with the current list of species that you've entered so far. Now once you've finished your checklist and you've finished entering everything, you can click on review and submit. The app will ask you if you've done birding. Now if you want to keep on birding, click on that bad boy. If you want to stop, and click stop track. You can still edit stuff, so it's not the end of the world if you've still got stuff to add on afterwards. And that takes you through to the final summary page. You are asked a final question, which is a very important one. Are you submitting a complete checklist of the birds you're able to identify? It's a yes or no answer. Please be honest. No one's going to hunt you down if you say no. It's okay. If you want more information on that, click on the I next to this question, or indeed if you want more of an explanation from me, there's actually a video on submitting a checklist online, and I talk a bit more about this question in detail. So by all means check that out. Now this is saying that it's a stationary checklist. Now if I thought that I was actually moving, say I moved 400 meters, I can click on the change button here and I could select that I was traveling and enter in all of that distance data. But for this one I was stationary, I was by myself, I was only out for 2 minutes. And then I can quickly review the species that I've entered, make sure that's all good, make sure all the details are correct. I can also add in comments or breeding codes for this. So say for the black swans, I could click on them and I can change a breeding code. The most appropriate one for mine would be inappropriate habitat. I can change the number of birds observed if I want to, and I can also add in comments such as seen on the water. And that's it. That's how simple it is. I can add comments and breeding codes for the rest of them if I want, or I can just click on the green submit button and away she goes. That is a complete checklist added to my personal records, but also added to the global eBird database. Now if you are struggling, there are help links from the app. You can click on the question mark in the bottom left hand corner of the main screen, and that takes you online onto the help and FAQ section of the eBird website. And hopefully there you can find more answers and more explanatory text around everything that we've covered. eBird's great at storing and summarizing your observations. So if you click on My eBird, it brings up this wonderful summary page for the number of species and checklists that you've submitted around the world. So your species by year and also your species for December. Now, if you wanted to change the region, just click on the bubble at the top right hand corner and type in the region that you want to summarize. So let's look at New Zealand. eBird does its thing, summarizes the number of species and checklists that you've submitted by year and in December. It's just sometimes really nice to see that and just shows how brilliant it is at being a personal database. One final thing is you can click on the checklist button and that brings up a summary of all your checklists. You can also tap on trip summaries. Again, just a really nice summary from either today. You can also create a list for a certain trip, say going abroad to Canada, and you can click on the date ranges. Now, say you've submitted a checklist and then suddenly realize, ooh, I have made a serious mistake or just a tiny mistake. Don't panic, the eBird app now allows you to go into any of those checklists that you submitted through the app and change any of the details, whether it be the time, the date, even the location, any of your species seen. You can add comments, you can add breeding codes, and any other information that you wanted to add. Once you've made your changes to your checklist, just resubmit it and it should be there. Now, if you wanted to delete a checklist from your device, you can. You just swipe left it'll come up with a red delete button, but it will also remind you that just because you've deleted it off your device doesn't mean you've deleted it off the eBird database. If you want to delete it fully because either you made a total mistake or you're just not happy with it at all, you need to do that online. Hopefully that clarifies everything. Of course, by this stage you'll realize that if you do want to add photos, you need to do that through the online web portal. If you're unsure how to do this, just check out the video on the channel for submitting a checklist online and it should be all golden. Hopefully from all of this you can see how easy it is to use. I use it on a daily basis and I'm hoping that this video will help convince you to use it on a daily basis too to help with your birding. So get downloading it, get registering, and get out there and submit some awesome observations.